Happy Sunday to you all. We got some injury updates. We're going to talk a little bit more about yesterday's game. And maybe we need to add some depth. But I will talk about all that after the intro. What is up, Finn fans? Hope you are having a fantastic Sunday after the Miami Dolphins victory over the Detroit Lions in the preseason. I know it's just preseason and we shouldn't look too far into it, but it was a nice victory and there were some very good pieces that we can still delve into and talk about a little bit more. But first and foremost, I do have to shout out today's sponsor. Let's go to Past Dog, rocking some very, very cool clothes to talk about that sponsor. I'd like to thank today's sponsor, and that is Chubbies. You might be asking yourself, what is Chubbies? If you don't know what Chubbies is or are or who they are, you need to seriously go check them out. They have some very, very great stuff. You might be saying, hey, that's a very nice polo / golf shirt you have. Look how stretchy this is. Look how stretchy and nice and airy this is. I got it off of their site. They also have these absolutely fantastic shorts over here that have like a neon lining. They also have a shirt like this that has that neon lining on it. Ton of great stuff. Chubbies has been perfecting the length, fit, and feel of shorts for so long, and they finally got it down. Go check them out. Click the link in the description, and you get $10 off with the code DDW. Again, you get $10 off with the code DDW. Go check them out at chubbiesshorts.com. You can also click the link in the description. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic stuff. And again, thank you so much for sponsoring today's video. For real though, that shirt, very light, very nice. And they have like bunch of different, they have shorts that have that black neon liner. They have other shorts that had that polo I was wearing, that liner in it. They have just regular shorts, not bathing suit shorts. They have so much stuff over there. Click the link in the description. Go check it out. And again, use promo code DDW and get yourself $10 off. Shout out to them. So let's talk about today. So this is from yesterday around 5:19. Mike McDaniel came out and did a presser. This is Barry Jackson's article. He said the Dolphins are expected to be without two key starters in Devon Achane and defensive lineman Zach Sealer for somewhat between days and weeks. Coach McDaniel said after Saturday's victory against the Lions. But McDaniel said he's not concerned about what fans or media might be concerned about with regards to their status. That suggests they should be back for the starter of the regular season on September 7th in Indianapolis. McDaniel said Sealer could have played Saturday if it had been a regular season game. Achane has a soft tissue lower body injury that's not severe. So again, it starts off with a scare, makes you and then, oh, okay, those should be all right. They're probably done, right? Because we have about 3 weeks, about 3.5 weeks till the start of the season. They're probably done. Rest them, get that stuff down good. Same thing with Tyreek Hill and the oblique injury. Just let them rest, ice it up, stretch it out, get ready for the start of the season. He said both players would be evaluated this week. The nature of Sealer's injury was not dislocated, like my shoulder. Disclosed, he was wearing a baseball cap before Saturday's game. 5 other Dolphins who aren't on injured reserve or physically unable to perform list also remain out in. Right tackle Austin Jackson said he is expected to be back for the opener. Offensive lineman Andrew Meyer, Liam Eichenberg, Baron Mados, as well as safety Ashton Davis, who are all out indefinitely. At least one Dolphin player sustained an injury during the game, cornerback Ethan Bonner, who clutched his leg following a first half play. McDaniel said Bonner had a hamstring injury and would be evaluated in South Florida tomorrow. After doctors evaluated Bonner, he accompanied a trainer into the Dolphins locker room. He walked slowly but without a clear limp. Bonner and Storm Ducks started at boundary corner on Saturday with Cornell Armstrong getting the start in the slot. Slot corner Mike Hilton Jr., among numerous veterans, did not play. So we got somewhat of good news from Sealer and Achan, and we got somewhat of good news from Bonner that it seems to be just a hammy and he should be okay. That being said, though, it's another blow to the cornerback room for another injury. And these are things, especially when it comes to hamstring injuries with the cornerbacks and wide receivers. Again, Tyreek Hill's dealing with an oblique, that happen. It's these deep tissue injuries because they're running so much in training camp and practice and in the preseason that these things happen, especially because you go from about a month and a half to doing nothing to boom, training camp. And that's why with the new CBA, it's a slow build-in process and there's no 2 days and, 2-a-days and all that stuff like they used to be back in the day. I will talk about some availability when it comes to free agency and other stuff at some positions later on in the video, because again, with Bonner going down, it's another corner that we need to deal with. McDaniel did touch upon the quarterbacks, and I am going to talk about the quarterbacks because I made a tweet yesterday that tickled some people's fancy and kind of bothered others. With Tua given the day off, backup quarterbacks played better than a week ago. Quinn Ewers, who played the second half, was somewhat better than Zach Wilson, finishing 11 for 17 for 116 yards and 2 touchdowns and a 123.7 passer rating. Wilson, who played the first half, went 15 for 23 for 151, 1 touchdown, and a 98.3 passer rating. McDaniel said 2 weeks ago that Wilson is definitely the number 2 quarterback. Asked Saturday if that has changed, McDaniel didn't answer directly, but he said he doesn't want to overreact to results, but he's more concerned at the moment about the process. He assessed both quarterbacks this way. Of Ewers, he said some really good things he did, some things he could do better. Orchestrating a 7-play drive at the end of the game was good. Yeah, man, it was an 8-minute drive that really helped us seal the game and force the opposing offense to have to be a little bit more aggressive, because instead of just needing 4, which again, it didn't matter, but instead of getting a touchdown to win, they needed to get a touchdown to tie. Big difference. He said Wilson did really good things in the first half. He did a good job handling the early looks. A couple plays he could get better from. Obviously, you guys know how I feel about the two of them. I think Ewers had a way better day than Zach Wilson did. And again, I judge these quarterbacks off of things that they can control. Obviously, if there's pressure, which I will look at the film like I did last week to see, did Wilson again hold the ball too long in some instances? Could he have done better here and there? Whereas we look at Ewers and like some of his touchdown passes were just nasty. The one where he rolled out to his left, beautiful. The touchdown to the right side of the end zone where he kind of it looked like he wasn't even looking. He's got great touch on his passes. I was going to say something else and I would have had to pause it. Whereas it seems like Zach Wilson, who this is his fifth year, still looks like rattled at times, where Quinn Ewers doesn't look rattled and he's a rookie. So there's that biggest question, right? And again, I will talk about the tweet that I made where I talked about the cap savings moving on from Zach Wilson. So here is essentially, sorry for the blank, but I had to fix the audio. Here is Zach Wilson's contract, right? We're looking here. It's a $2.2 million cap hit, but again, they did some things which is dumb because they probably wanted to save cap space to add some of his money to next year. But it's a dead cap of $6 million, right? He's going to get his $6 million. If they release him, they're not saving anything. I did it on over the cap and they saved like $5,000. It was like nothing. It didn't really matter. If they trade him, they save $12.5 million. $1.25 million. Trading him would be very hard to do because who would want him? No, not knocking Zach Wilson. Again, don't take it personally. But it makes you think, would they move on from Zach Wilson? Again, they will be playing the Jaguars on Saturday, at 7:00. If he continues to have struggle bus city, are they going to be like, we need to move on from him, or Quinn Ewers is the backup? But again, that's $6 million. It's a situation, again, if you go back to when we signed him, I was like, I'm not happy about this one, but I'm not that upset because I saw his intangibles with his arm and with his mobility, and I was like, maybe Mike McDaniel can fix that stuff, but obviously he couldn't. And again, I'm going to sound like a Tua lover now, but I don't give a crap anymore. You look at Tua, right? Tua had things that he was struggling with, and they bring in Mike McDaniel to make Tua better. And in 2022 and 2023, Tua had great years. Obviously, in 2022, he got hurt. 2023, he led the league in passing, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. And he's still, over these past 3 years, top 5 EPA, top 5 this, top 5 that, top 5, all of these things, right? So Mike McDaniel was able to take Tua and hone his skills and make him better, right? Some people think Tua isn't better. If you think Tua isn't better from his first 3 years to now, whatever, that's your prerogative. Cool on you. Whereas he's taken other quarterbacks and they haven't gotten better. And again, Zach Wilson is kind of a prime example. And again, you're like, are you really comparing Zach Wilson to Tua Tagovailoa? Yeah, Zach Wilson was the 3rd overall pick. Zach Wilson was a top 5 draft pick. So yeah, I'm comparing the two because he's not good. Again, I don't mean to beat the kid down. His processing speed is not there. And I get it. He's a backup quarterback. And why are you harping so much on a backup quarterback? Because I have no faith that Tua Tagovailoa is going to stay healthy and play 17 games this year. And God forbid, we saw what happened last year. We saw what happened in 2022 when Tua wasn't there. The team doesn't win with the backup quarterbacks we have. We win like 1 out of 5, 1 out of 6. That doesn't cut it. Matt Moore, when he was a backup, came in and we won games. We clinched the playoffs in Buffalo in the snow with Matt Moore as quarterback. Like, this is things that we're good in, what you look for in a backup quarterback. Like, I don't expect the backup quarterback to be better than the starter because then they're not the backup. But I expect the backup to come in and at least win some games until the quarterback comes back. Like when we had Brock Osweiler and it was, Brocktober and blah, blah, blah. He won like 1 game against Chicago that he just yacked it up and then crap the bed against the Houston Texans. I remember everyone was like, oh, he's the next thing. We don't need Tannehill. And I was like, I don't know about that. You might want to pump the brakes on that. Unfortunately, I was right. It's the same thing now. Like, I'm looking at Zach Wilson, and again, I'm knocking on wood. I hope Tua plays 17 games because he gives us the best opportunity out of these quarterbacks to win games. Again, Ewers was fantastic yesterday, but let's pump the brakes on him being, the savior that we are looking for. Might be, but let's pump and let's see how things develop. Zach Wilson, to run this style of offense, if you notice Quinn Ewers is running it well, Wilson's not because of the processing speed. It's not like I'm building a computer. And I will show you again when the film comes out that he takes a second to get the ball out, to make moves, to do this and that. And it hurts him when it comes to his pocket presence and his reading. So, I talked about it in the tweet, and I'll read the tweet to you because, yeah, it bothered some people, which again made me laugh. like, look, I'm not really like messing with anyone. I said, not saying here, I'll show you. I said, not saying they should or will or gonna, but if the Dolphins cut Zach Wilson and cost about $5,000 in a hit towards the cap, I'm just saying. And 11 comments, 39 likes, 1 retweet. People are like, "Oh, dog, come on." And I get it. Again, I'm not thinking it's going to happen or will happen. But if Ewers again next week or this upcoming Saturday, because it's Sunday, it plays better, it's something you need to think about. And then it's like, all right, well then what else do you do at quarterback? And this is where we get to the next little area of the video I want to talk about. Available players. Now, again, Ethan Bonner's dealing with a hammy. Hopefully it's nothing more serious. We'll find out tomorrow. But again, Rasul Douglas is still out there. He hasn't signed with anyone. Miami has consistently been like, hey, this is the contract we're offering you. What do you think? And he's like, no. Let me see. Let me wait. Yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. No one's signing Rasul Douglas. No one's signing Stephon Gilmore. And I think a lot of that has to do with the guarantee in their contract. They're probably waiting till after week 1 because then the contract's not guaranteed. If you sign them now and they're on the roster for week 1, their contract is guaranteed. So like Mike Hilton and Jack Jones, their contracts will be guaranteed if they're on the roster week one, if they make the cut down to 53. Whereas, you make the cut down to 53, you go to Indy, you play them. Then after that, you're like, whoa, we need to add some corners. Then they add a Rasul Douglas or a Stephon Gilmore if they're still available. They've cut them after week two. Their contract's not fully guaranteed, not fully guaranteed, but you know what I'm saying. It can go week to week basis. So they might be waiting for that type of scenario and see if they can go into Indy and beat the Colts with the secondary they have. I'm not saying they can or can't. This is a preview that's coming in a couple of weeks. But that's that situation. Also, O-line depth, because we saw Larry Bourne was just not good, and especially with Zach. See, but here's the difference. Zach Wilson struggled. Quinn Ewers didn't. Quinn Ewers put together a drive, and Quinn Ewers had the worst offensive line in front of him than Zach Wilson did. Quinn Ewers had a fourth string offensive line. Zach Wilson had the second string offensive line. He might even I have to check, but he might have even had Jonah and Patrick Paul in there again on the left side. So again, but if we do need depth, and Isaiah Wynn is still out there, Jedrick Wills is still out there. There are still potential offensive linemen out there that the Dolphins can add as a potential depth move piece. Also, Liam Eichenberg. I can't believe we're all clamoring and hoping that Liam Eichenberg comes back soon. He's a piece that could be added as well. So there's a lot of moving pieces there. Then I can already feel the comments. I was looking at the New York Giants situation, right? Russell Wilson, beautiful pass. He threw a deep pass against the Jets. Side note, Jets not looking good against the Giants. Justin Fields looked worse than Zach Wilson against the Giants. Like, it wasn't good. And, we saw the video of Zach Wilson in the joint practice with the Giants just missing easy passes, like screen passes and passes to the sideline. And everyone's like, oh, it's nothing to worry about. He missed them again during the game. Like, he was like 1 for something in the game. But you look at the Giants. Russell Wilson played well. Jackson Dart is playing well. There's an odd man out in that quarterback room. His name is Jameis Winston. And if the Giants cut Jameis Winston, just saying, I would prefer having Jameis Winston as a backup quarterback than Zach Wilson. I'm just saying. Now, will the Dolphins own up to they threw too much money at Zach Wilson and thought they could fix something they couldn't, and are going to stick with Zach Wilson and because, hey, we're still paying him $6 million, so we can't, own up to our mistakes and move on from him? 100% that's what they're going to do. Zach Wilson is going to be on the Dolphins come week one, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. We all know how it's going to turn out because for some reason, when it comes to either Greer or McDaniel, they just won't own up to their mistakes. Like, I bet you Cam Smith is going to make the roster, even though he's been, he's had spurts here and there of good plays, but he's not a second round pick quality player, and this is his year 3. The smart thing would be to move on from Wilson, especially if Jameis Winston becomes available, and you get Jameis Winston. They're not going to do it. Zach Wilson's going to be the backup, even though he probably shouldn't, because I don't know how long they need to wait to see his play style, his processing speed, his pocket presence does not fit this offense. And again, he's a backup quarterback, Doug. Why do you care so much? Because Tua has shown he can't stay healthy. And if that hurts to hear, I apologize. It's just the truth. And I want to win games. All I care about. I want to have quarterback controversy. I want Quinn Ewers to be the backup and bring Jameis Winston in just to be an emergency guy. You know what I'm saying? Protect him. He's the protected player going throughout the season. Go get Jameis Winston after week 1. And then, you understand what I'm saying? But there's a lot of moving pieces. I mostly wanted to give you guys an injury update on Sealer and Achane and Bonner. And that's where, talk about Rasul Douglas and Stephon Gilmore, talk about the depth on the offensive line with Isaiah Wynn and Jedrick Wills still being out there and available. There's still things that the Dolphins can do. They have $11 million in cap space. We still don't know what Zach Sealer's new contract, how it's, broken down. And, again, the NFLPA is going through these changes, so they're very slow at getting these contracts out. So we don't know how it's processed and how much cap space we actually have. Because, again, we have $11 million after the move with Mika Fitzpatrick. We might have roughly $18 to $19 million with Sealer's move. So We don't know. We don't know the dead cap. We don't know the out. We don't know anything. So as soon as we get that information, I will get to that as well. But just thought I'd make this Sunday video kind of talking a little bit more about yesterday's game, talk a little bit more about the quarterback situation. I'd real quick want to give shout out to Jordan Phillips because he has been killing it in the preseason. Like, he is doing fantastic. The defensive line, defensive tackles, I know going into the draft, going into not OTAs, but into the draft, we were like nervous about the defensive tackles. Now, Benito Jones is doing his thing. Obviously, we have Sealer, we have Kenneth Grant, we have Jordan Phillips. Like, we're good now at defensive tackle. It's so funny how things can shift and change and all that stuff. I was going to say shift because I wanted to say shift and change. So there's positives. I might make a video tomorrow talking about that stuff. Camp, they have off tomorrow. Open up to the public Tuesday. I leave Tuesday. I will be down there Wednesday, Thursday, so you'll get live training camp recap, literally with me standing in front of the field, kind of like a news reporter. I come back Thursday, preview the Jags game on Friday. Then we have the Jaguars game, and then they have to cut down to 53, I think, by the 26th or the 25th. So I will have my roster prediction video the day before cuts happen. Got a lot planned for you guys, and then we get into the groove of the start of the season. I start giving you my expectation videos, my pessimistic videos, my per record prediction. We jump right into the season stuff. So if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. I will see you maybe tomorrow, but most definitely on Tuesday. But like usual, stay classy and fins up.